नहीं करना है तो कमेटी काहे को लिए है भाई?
अगर आज हम ये संशोधन लेके नहीं आते तो जिस सदन में हम बैठे हैं, ये पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग, इसको भी क्लेम किया जा रहा था।
क्या संदेश देना चाहते हैं? किस कौम को आप भ्रमित करना चाहते हैं?
कांग्रेस के झांसे में ना आए, आपको भी डुबा देंगे ये लोग।
बाहर है लिखते सत्यमेव जयते, भाजपाई अंदर असत्य बात कहते हैं।
वक्फ इज नॉट ए रिलीजियस बॉडी।
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. The show is called News Night, and on top of the show, let me promise you one thing, that this is a show that's going to tell you what is happening in the parliament right away. So we'll dip into the proceedings right now, because this is the Parliament of Bharat that is about to enact what many are saying is the biggest reform of the year 2025. The biggest reform under the Modi government, under this NDA government, and this is about granting rights to the minorities, the marginalized Muslims. Remember, we've been hearing a lot of chatter about the Waqf bill, the amendment, and just on the show last night, we did call out a lot of misinformation campaign that has been launched by certain critics, by certain political parties. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who has been leading the charge when it comes to the government today, has been vociferous about this. Unequivocally, he says that stop spreading misinformation. He says, like the opposition tried to do with the CAA, like they've tried to do with issues of triple talaq, do not again spread panic, do not spread fear. But the opposition is not relenting. The opposition has also been up in arms. They say that this is a bill that is anti-constitution, anti the Samvidhan. Remember the Samvidhan discussion, the constitution discussion that we have seen the entire opposition using even in the run-up to the big elections of 2024. And even as I speak today, you have a live discussion, the live debate that is underway right now in the parliament. A discussion that started at 12 and a discussion that is continuing right now even at 10. The buzz is that at the end of this discussion, we could be looking at the voting and in all likelihood, looking at the numbers, looking at the kind of support that this amendment bill has gotten through, we could be looking at the Lok Sabha passing this. And then tomorrow could be the big Rajya Sabha test. But before I move ahead, we get you the newsmakers, we get you what has happened through the day. I want you to listen into just 6 important reactions, only 6. This will just take a few minutes of your time, but this will help you understand why this is the biggest reform of 2025, as the government says, and why the opposition continues to call this anti-minority, anti the constitution.
पहले तो वक्त में कोई गैर इस्लामिक सदस्य आएगा ही नहीं, ये स्पष्टता समझ लीजिए। ना मुतवल्ली गैर इस्लामिक होगा, ना वाकिफ गैर इस्लामी होगा। मान्यवर, वहां कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। जो धार्मिक संस्थाओं का संचालन करते हैं उसमें कोई गैर मुस्लिम व्यक्ति रखने का प्रावधान किया भी नहीं है, हम करना भी नहीं चाहते हैं। मान्यवर,
ये कानून प्रोस्पेक्टिव है, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं है। ये आप लोग बहुत क्लियर से सुन लीजिए, ये किसी का जमीन छीनने का कानून नहीं है। ये किसी का राइट, किसी का हनन करके उसका प्रॉपर्टी को हड़पने का नहीं है।
1947 में भारत ने एक विभाजन देखा है, वो एक परिवार और एक पार्टी के कारण वो विभाजन हुआ है। आज जमीन जिहाद, लैंड जिहाद के नाम पर हम दूसरा विभाजन नहीं होने देंगे, नहीं होने देंगे। एक स्पष्ट संदेश तो यहां पर देना ही चाहते हैं कि मोदी जी के राज में भारत में एक कानून, एक संविधान और एक भारत रहेगा।
इस बिल के द्वारा 4 इनके मूल उद्देश्य। कि संविधान को कमजोर करना, टू डाइल्यूट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। इनका दूसरा उद्देश्य है भ्रम फैलाना, टू डिफेम द माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटीज ऑफ इंडिया। इनका तीसरा उद्देश्य है टू डिवाइड द इंडियन सोसाइटी, डाइल्यूट, डिफेम, डिवाइड। और चौथा इनका उद्देश्य है टू डिसएनफ्रेंचाइज द माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटीज।
वक्फ बिल का लाना भाजपा की सियासी हट है। वक्फ बिल के पीछे की न तो नीति सही है न नियत।
This is a clear attempt on the part of the bill to curtail the right of the Muslims in our country. ये ठीक नहीं है मैडम। हिंदू या मुस्लिम का हसद मत छड़िए, अपनी कुर्सी के लिए जज्बात को मत छड़िए। छड़िए एक जंग मिलजुल कर गरीबी के खिलाफ। दोस्त मेरे मजामी लकमत में मत छड़िए।
I dare to charge the government that this parliament is being used as a mere ventilating chamber and it has been undermined. It is nothing but an unpardonable onslaught on the constitution religion.
Let's bring up the straight questions, ladies and gentlemen, because there are so many questions. Even yesterday we had asked those questions. You've seen a lot of fracas that we've seen earlier in the parliament, but the first big question has to be the fact whether this, you believe, is the biggest reform of 2025. Do remember, any kind of reform really needs a lot of push, it needs a lot of consensus, it needs the right intent. Do you believe the Waqf Amendment Bill is the biggest reform of 2025? That is our first top straight question, followed by what we've heard in the parliament today. And I'll begin by talking about the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who has charged at the opposition without mincing words unequivocally. He is alleging that there is a lot of fear-mongering only for quote-unquote vote bank politics. Is that true or false? What has the opposition said about this? We'll tell you about that in just a moment. This is our third straight question. The opposition alleges the bill is unconstitutional. You've heard that from the Congress, you've heard that from the Trinamool, you've also heard that from the DMK, and almost all parties who are right now a part of the opposition say this is against the constitution, this is arbitrary, there have not been discussions good enough. Is that propaganda or is that a valid charge? At the end of this discussion, I hope you will have an answer to that question. This brings us to our fourth straight question on Newsnight tonight. The Congress, ladies and gentlemen, is calling this bill anti-Muslim. They are very clear about this. They say this is a bill only and only directed against the minorities. It is not for their welfare. The Muslims do not want this. But like I said yesterday, is this really about religion? Who wants to make this about religion? Who benefits? Remember, these are questions you must always ask, because it's only then that we will get the right answers. This brings us to our final question that we'll be deep diving into. Is the reform, ladies and gentlemen, about the liberation for the Muslim community? And remember, not just the privileged, not just the entitled Muslim men, but what about the marginalized sections in the community? What about the women? Do we even talk about them? Who's talking about them? What about their rights? You would recall something like this had also happened during the Triple Talaq debate. So we'll try to answer all those questions. Without wasting time, I want to introduce a panel of guests, and I also want to tell you that because this is a live story, at all times we'll try to get you images that are coming in from the parliament, and we will deep dive into that discussion also as and when that is happening. These are live images on your screens right now from the parliament that has been discussing, debating this entire issue right from 12 noon earlier today. And then the opposition says no discussions happening. Is that a valid charge? Let's say good evening. First up to Dr. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who's a former Minority Affairs Minister. Thank you, sir, for your time on the show. We also have Kausar Jha, who's the chairperson of the Delhi Hajj Committee, who's been gracious enough to be a part of this conversation here in our studios. Also, Dr. Nasir Hussain, thank you, sir, for your time. Also, he's the Member of Parliament from the Congress Party. The Congress vociferously has been opposing this. They say this is anti-Muslim. We'll find out exactly what is their rationale. And Shahdan Farsad is the senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Sir, thank you so much also for your time. And with all your permission, I want to first get in Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi ji on this entire issue, because he's also been a former Minority Affairs Minister. Sir, tell me something. We are almost looking at history being created. We are looking at a huge reform, the biggest reform under Modi 3.0, under the Modi government, that is a part of this NDA. But why is the opposition right now so alarmist? They are telling us this is anti-Muslim.
See, the reform in the present Waqf system is a need of the hour. Not only need of the hour, but the Waqf की भी ज़रूरत है और Waqf की भी ज़रूरत है. Because you see, the अमृत काल चल रहा है और इस अमृत काल में जो अभी डिबेट और डिस्कशन वक्फ अमेंडमेंट को लेकर के पार्लियामेंट में हो रहा है या शुरू है, वो उससे जो है वो मुझे पूरा यकीन है कि अमृत ज़रूर निकलेगा. और जहाँ तक सवाल है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुछ लोगों की आदत है कि कमनल कुएं से कॉन्स्पिरेसी का काकरोच निकालो और कन्फ्यूज़न और कंट्राडिक्शन के ज़रिए जो है वो कन्फ्लिक्ट का माहौल क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करो. उसमें वो सफल नहीं हो रहे हैं.
Okay, so you also allege, much like the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, that there is a pattern to this polarization. Before I get in, Kausar, to push that point a little further, Nasirji, why don't you jump into this conversation right away? The opposition has been alleging this is anti the Samvidhan, anti the constitution, this is anti the Muslims, this is an agenda of the Modi government. Why, sir? I mean, we do know that the Sachar committee had also spoken of a lot of mismanagement when it comes to the Waqf board. Lalu Prasad Yadav got quoted by the Union, Home Minister Amit Shah today, saying that a lot of changes had to be done in the Waqf board itself.
So let me first start by saying this. I am not against any reform. Every institution has some gadbad or the other in it. You need reforms. There's no problem in needing reform, having reforms, and there's also no problem in having amendments to the existing bills. But the point is, what are the reforms in this? Can somebody from the BJP, there are two from the BJP in the panel today, can somebody tell me what is that is there in this reform? I am not saying it is anti-Muslim. It could be anti-Muslim. I am saying it is anti-constitutional. What is happening to Article 14, Article 25, Article 26, Article 30? Why can't we manage our own religious affairs? Why can't we run our own educational institutions? Why can't we have the same powers as the religious institutions, as the similar boards have in different communities? Why can't we have the same set of rules as that are there for different communities? Can somebody explain to me that one? And they are saying that we are saying it is it is definitely anti-Muslim. It is definitely
yes, good points that you have raised. I will just take another 10 seconds with you before I get Kausar to respond to these charges. But tell me something, is this really about religion or this is about a land reform? Do you recognize the fact that there has been a lot of usurping of this land, also government land, and all these, very controversial sections, the fact that the Congress had moved amendments? The charge on you is that you only and only wanted to appease a community. That is why you only see religion here.
If it was only Congress that was appeasing, the Muslims, what is the BJP doing? Why did the BJP support these amendments when the bill came in 1995? Why did the BJP support this when the amendments were brought in 2013? Why did the BJP sit on this for 11 long years? What were they doing? They were opposing the Muslims while supporting this bill in 1995 and 2013? So if we do, it is appeasement. If they bring in some amendment, they say that they say that they are reforms. So let them list out what kind of reforms that they are trying to bring in the list.
Okay, interesting.
Let me understand what are the reforms. Let me understand how this is going to benefit the poor among the Muslims.
And you do concede the fact that possibly there could be charges of appeasement, but you are raising a political point, which is also fair enough. But let me also get in Shahdan Farsad, and we'll also try to see what's happening in the parliament right now. Now, Shahdan, I believe you're a critic of, the entire amendment bill. But the point is, Is it fair to say this is unconstitutional? Do you agree with that premise? And legally speaking, even after the abrogation of Article 370, there were a lot of politicians who said, oh, this is against the community. This is not about integration of Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country. The matter goes up to the court, and once the court opined on the legality and the merits of the entire case, you had the same politicians saying, oh, we are okay with this now.
You asked me 2-3 different questions.
Yes.
Some of them are political, but anyways, so I'm going to answer the legal ones first. The point is, I've heard you say 3 or 4 times in the course of this discussion that it's the biggest reform of 2025. Please tell me from this act, I have examined it yesterday and today, I hadn't seen it before that. What are these, please point out 3 or 4 points which are the biggest reforms in this act. I mean, if you can point out to me what those reforms are, I don't actually see what are the reform points. I'm all in favor of reform. But what was the issue with Waqf today? The issue with Waqf today was that it was not being managed well, right? People were sitting on property, making monies off it, mutawallis were misusing it, there was corruption, all of that, right? How does it even address one of those problems? You please tell me. I have not seen it. Is there a provision for audit of the specific Waqfs? Is there a provision for ensuring that the mutawallis are made accountable for their responsibilities? Is it there? Is there a provision for saying that the salaries and how the money is being used for the purpose for which Waqf is there should be disclosed and made transparent? It's not there. Please tell me, I've heard 5 times from you that, oh, it's the biggest reform. What is the reform?
Okay. Shadan is asking what is the reform. Let me also tell our viewers what they see on your screens. That is Engineer Rashid right now also participating in the debate. And I must tell our viewers, we'll be also listening in to Kiran Rijiju, the minister who's going to be replying in the parliament, at the end of which there is going to be voting. Why don't you respond to what you've heard from both Nasirji and also from Shadan? Because they say, where are the reforms? The fact is, Shadan, I want to speak about just Section 3, Section 6, Section 40, Section 85, that allows the Waqf board to claim land if they believe it belongs to a Muslim without needing proof. Aggrieved parties have just 1 year to appeal claims on land and assets before Waqf boards, places the burden of proof on the landowners to contest the Waqf claims, and decision by the Waqf tribunals are final, cannot be contested in higher courts. But having said that, Kausar, it's your turn to reply.
Well, I would say reform and progress is very important for any community. And this is a very important and a very positive step being taken by the government for the welfare of the Muslim community and the marginalized Muslims. A very misleading campaign is being led by the opposition. And this is being done just to, I think, to protect certain people's vested interests. And only those people who are I would say those people who are resisting this change are the ones who are actually benefiting from the illegal occupation of the Waqf properties, or who have exploited the charitable properties for their personal gains. So now if the government wants to bring in amendments and make sure that the whole concept of Waqf, which was to make sure that the underprivileged or the marginalized section of the Muslim society benefits from the assets of Waqf. So what is wrong?
Okay. You're asking what is wrong. I will also get Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who's been very patiently waiting to get into the conversation. But Nasirji, first to you.
So my co-panelist, Ms. Kausar, who is the chairperson of Delhi Hajj Committee from BJP, she has to defend this. She has still not answered your question. What are the reforms in it? Let her tell our viewers how will the poor among the Muslims will benefit from this newly amended bill. What is the roadmap? What will the revenue come from? What is it that government supporting the Waqf? Does she mean to say that we should start collecting money from the people who go to offer namaz? Yeah. Should we start collecting money from the people who will be buried in the qabrastans, or should we have some sort of a fees for people those who are going to dargah for some big chadar and small chadar? Where will be the money come from to help the poor? How will the government help the poor? What is the roadmap? Let them tell us. What has not been in the past? What are they going to do now? Let me tell you. They are speaking about Sachar committee recommendation. They had rejected Sachar committee report in toto. in toto, and they called all kinds of things against Rajendra Sachar. Now they are quoting Rajendra Sachar on his recommendation. In 2013, National Waqf Development Corporation was what started with a seed capital of 500 crores. In 2013, 2014 Modi government comes. They do away with Navatco, and I don't know what has happened to that 500 crore seed capital. So how are they going to develop these properties?
Okay.
How are they going
Nasir, you've raised a lot of questions. The point is, it's good to raise questions because it's only then that you will be able to hear the other side to respond to this. But you know, our team here on Newsnight had done a lot of hard work to bring out certain graphics, and these graphics right now are playing on our screens. And only for the benefit of our viewers, I'll tell them that what they see on their screens are details of what has, been the points that were raised in the earlier act versus what really are the amendments the government wants. The Congress says, where is the reform? Show us the reform. Now, Kausar has been saying that there has been a lot of push when it comes to the marginalized communities and for women. But before this conversation continues, I also want to try and see if I can go back to Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who's been a former Minority Affairs Minister, and he continues to stay with us. Now, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, the charge again is that this has been done only and only with an idea to dent the vote bank, perhaps of these so-called secular parties. The BJP has taken a long time to respond to what was going on. And why do you think that the opposition is saying this is anti the constitution, this is anti the Muslims?
First of all, if you see most of the Waqf properties in India belong to a Muslim community, not minority, only Muslim communities. As far as the present Waqf amendment is concerned, lot of the problems facing Muslim community themselves. The Waqf mafias are dominating whole Waqf system and trying to hijack the interest of the common Muslim community. आज की तारीख में जो वक्फ के सिस्टम में दिक्कत क्या हुई है कि some peoples are trying to project the Waqf Act is the act of God. It is not act of God. It is act of Parliament. And Parliament का वो act है और Parliament ही उसको correct कर रही है और correct करेगी, क्योंकि जो लोग जो है वो उन्होंने कहा टच मी नॉट, ये आसमानी किताब बना दी और कह दिया कि साहब ये तो कोई हो सकता है, ये जो है वो पार्लियामेंट का एक्ट नहीं है, परवरदिगार का एक्ट है, एक्ट ऑफ अलमाइटी. Nobody can touch it, nobody can reform it, nobody can review it. This type of the mentality and this type of the phobia created by some vested interests is not in the interest of the Muslim community themselves. As far as the
essentially trying to sell out that this is in the interest of the Muslim community. It's only for word of time, but I'm thanking Kausar. I'm also thanking Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Dr. Nasir Hussain and Shadan for their time. But do remember, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is going to be another big day, because at the end of the day tonight, possibly you'll have the Lok Sabha that could have passed this historic legislation. We could be seeing the things then moving to the Rajya Sabha. In case you're wondering whether this is really about numbers or anything else, stay with us. We are getting to you now. Newsnight's parting shot. So no matter what they say, but this, ladies and gentlemen, is a mega third term reform when it comes to this government, the Narendra Modi government. You know, you would recall for the longest time what has been said about the government, that it does not have a majority on its own. It's depending on the crutches of the allies. The allies are not happy. The allies will complain, but the allies, whether it is the TDP, whether it is the JDU, have decided to stick with the government. What happens when it comes to voting? We are watching that, but on your screens are also images right now to the extreme right coming in from those live proceedings of the Parliament. The Parliament of Bharat that is still discussing, debating, talking about this historic legislation. So this is the end also of vote bank politics, as you've heard the Union Home Minister Amit Shah saying. Is that true or not? This is a charge that the opposition is never willing to accept. But then the story is also about myth versus facts. Remember, what is the fact and what is the narrative that is being created? You need to declutter all that to only understand the fine print of what really are the amendments, What are the reforms? Does the community need this? And who should have a problem with reforms? Is this really about religion? Like we said on Newsnight, even yesterday, no. This is not about religion, but yes, some are definitely making this about religion. We say this is about equality before law. This is about land reforms. This is about the integration of all. Much like was the entire move by the Narendra Modi government of the abrogation of Article 370. But do not go anywhere. It's not just Newsnight, but the entire NDTV network that will keep you ahead on what's been happening through this night, which is going to be a long night. And again, tomorrow, you will have the Rajya Sabha looking at this. We'll get you the numbers. We'll get you the big picture. We'll get you the newsmakers. But only for want of time, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.